Welcome back. I'm Gary Parr.
I'm Beth Ellicott.
And I'm Cindy Baldwin.
Yep, all three of us. This is the midweek version of Fiber Talk, the twice weekly podcast for needlework artists. We've got a topic we've been toying around with for some time, and so we're all getting together here tonight to discuss it ad nauseum, as they say. All right, a couple of announcements. No show Sunday, so don't look for that Sunday, but we will be live at 2 o'clock Eastern Time, Thanksgiving Day, on YouTube. So live YouTube show, 2 o'clock Eastern Time, Thanksgiving Day. And so join us if, usual, if you're home alone or have had enough of your family gathering, join us. And it'll at least be Robin, Cindy, and me, and Beth's got family, and she doesn't get sick of her family. So we're...
Yeah, if they get sick of me, though, we'll see.
Oh.
They might be tired of me by then. And be like,
Oh, it
get
could
her
go that
out of
way.
here.
All
You
right.
go.
Well,
Yeah, that's the way it could go.
okay. So 2 o'clock, Thanksgiving Day, 2 o'clock Eastern Time on YouTube, the YouTube channel. Join us, and we'll just stitch and yak and spend an hour, hour and a half just enjoying. I have posted the end of the year schedule on the website and on the Facebook page, so yeah, I should do that more often. That seemed to be well received. I need to...
Yeah.
Well, I say that, but then we don't always have things recorded far enough in advance to do a schedule. Sometimes
Well,
it's hand to mouth, but right now there's several. So
and normally it just is all, there's no changes. It's Sunday and Wednesday,
right.
you know, or a live show or a podcast or the Zoom. So I think you probably really only need to do it if there's going to be an interruption.
Yeah,
Right.
good point. Yep. And on that schedule, I have a Christmas Day and a New Year's Day live show. They're tentative. We'll know when we get closer. My family is dictating that. I have no say at all. So it looks like New Year's Day is going to happen. Christmas Day, I have no idea what's going on that day. But for sure Thanksgiving, and then just for people who are just sitting home alone and need a break in the day, or would like a break, and stitching's always a good break. So we'll try and do them if we can. Patreon. Invite you, patreon.com/fibertalk. Invite you to join us. 2 levels, $5 and $10. The $10 level gets you to participate in our Zoom chats on the third week of every month. Those have been great fun. We've really had a good time with those. And newest shows, we've got 3 new shows that we put up in the last week. We did a reaction, the 3 of us, to Mary Corbett's Twinkle Twinkle Christmas Star design. Had fun with that. Cindy used Palette Scout, the card deck that we've talked about several times, to select threads at Stitcher's Garden. And then I did one on seam rippers. And then next week I'll record one on what I have in my stitching go bag, and maybe that'll help you give you an excuse to buy more stuff. Is pretty much what that's going to do. Yeah. And then, but the first one that will go up next week is our discussion about Karen Kluba's celebration design. We went nuts. we redesigned that sucker in some ways. That was fun. Yeah. Yep. We not the same. When we got done, it was not the same thing that Karen put together. So
And that's not because we didn't like what she did.
No.
Because we do.
Yeah.
Right.
But we had
I
ideas.
just want to play with it.
Yeah.
I wanted to play.
Yep.
Play.
And we did. And then we have a drawing. Clara Washauer, Goldwork specialist, has been kind enough again to offer us a couple of kits to give away. And this time it's her Goldwork Cross Star. So this beauty right here. Wow. That and she's got a free class. So you buy the kit and you get a free class on December 6th, and that's on her website. And so you get this, and then she's doing this in conjunction with the folks at Ecclesiastical Sewing. And so if you win, then you also get the materials to make it into an ornament from Ecclesiastical Sewing. So you'll do the class, and then you'll do the gold work, and then you'll be able to make it into an ornament. So you'll get 2 kits, and then the class is free. So it's the usual deal. You send an email to Gary at WeTalkFiber.com. In the subject line, you put Gold Cross, 2 words, Gold Cross in the subject line. Don't put anything else, just Gold Cross. And then in the body of the email, you put your name and address. And if you leave that out, I'm going to move on. I'm going to redraw. If it gets left out, I'm just going to redraw because I spent too much time chasing them down. So name and address in the thing, and you got to enter by midnight, November 29. Midnight Eastern time, November 29. You got to enter by midnight, November 29. I'll do the drawing, and then Clara will send out the kit, and you should have it in time for the class on December 6th. So email to Gary at WeTalkFiber.com, subject line, Gold Cross, and then your name and address, your name and address in the body of the email. That's all you have to put in, and send that in before midnight Eastern on the 29th of November, and then we'll get you in the drawing to win one of these kits. And her kits are fantastic. So, and you can see this is a beautiful design. So, and thanks to Clara, that's a really generous of her to make these kits available. She does that periodically for us. I don't even ask. She just all of a sudden, would you like to give away? You bet. Sign us up.
Yeah.
So get in on that deal, and get in on the drawing. And Beth, you've done 2 or 3 of her things. These are great ways to learn gold work too, because they're not huge things.
Yes.
Right.
No. And
And
the
her
other thing is she
instructions are
records
great.
them.
Yeah.
Right. She records them so you can look at them later and go back. If you're stuck on something, you watch it again, again, again. It's nice. They're lots of fun to do.
Yeah.
I highly recommend. And then she was just here in the U.S. and I saw several what are they called? Reels of her classes. Looks like people got a lot done and enjoyed. We'd love to hear from it. If you were in one of her classes, comment um, below the video or send Gary a note, because I'd just like to know if you enjoyed what you thought of her class.
Yeah.
I'm just curious.
Yeah, she's terrific all the way around, just terrific, and really nice designs. But it really is just an excellent way to learn gold work and not invest in some big project that's going to take you forever. These are very approachable, and she's a good teacher. So get in on that. So midnight Eastern time, the 29th. Send your email. Actually, when you're listening to this, do it right away. Then you won't forget. We'll do the drawing, and Clara will ship it right out. She's back home now in Europe, in England, right? Yeah, England, somewhere. She's back home, so she can send it out right away. So get in on that. So you get 2 kits. You get the one from Ecclesiastical Sewing, and you get the one from Clara, so you can get all the way through to a finished ornament. And of course, the benefit there is you're learning how to finish too. So another way to learn how to finish. And the only cost is sending in the email. And of course, that doesn't prevent you from buying the kit from Clara and participating too, because that's just the cost of the kit. There's no fee for the workshop. So do that. Thanks so much to Clara for thinking of us and making that possible for people to participate. That's great. Okay. Now, what we've talked about in one form or another forever, and this is all Beth's fault this time. She made a list of the questions, and it was like, we got to do a show. So we've talked about having a project we want to do, or as Beth put it in all caps, the project, and then you're always working on something else. So why is that not the priority? And then every now and then you go do the other things. It seems to be reversed. So what is our problem? Is basically the question. I don't know.
Right. The real question was, what do you have to gain from not working on the project? What is holding you back from working on it? That was my question because I think it's in our heads, let's be honest, it's something in our heads holding us back. And what I thought about for you, Gary, was your white work projects, your
It's my fault right
Elizabethan
out of the gate.
treasures. Well, not your fault, but that was my thought. I thought, oh, Gary has those. Yes, I have them too. Um, but what's holding him back from putting a stitch in? You know, you know, he's a great stitcher. You do a great job stitching. Um, time is kind of an excuse. Well, it's easy. All of us have 24 hours, but and we're all busy, and you're busy with the podcast and kids and grandkids and working and that sort of thing. But what's keeping you as from that project? And mine is the casket. I could have it sitting across the room for me for weeks and not touch it.
Yeah. Yeah. And you've had, since you sent that a couple 3 days ago, I mean, I've thought about it several times, and I've got some bicycling miles thinking about it, and which that's my thinking time. But and it's in some ways it's the path of least resistance.
Mm-hmm.
And like right now, this just example, and these are all lame excuses. I'll admit right out of the gate. Uh, I decided to go back and watch the uh, Amazon Prime Harry Bosch series because it's so well done. So I started at the first one, and I've been watching that and really enjoying it because it's very well done. And I've spent a lot of time stitching on the Botany Bay sampler. And when you sent that thing, it was, all right, I put in several hours on that sampler. Why don't I have one of the 2 or 3 projects that are top of the list? Why isn't that in front of me instead of making X's on a piece of linen? And I think it's path of least resistance. I can just sit down and make X's blindly. So I do it. But it's a show. It's one of those shows where there's enough dialogue you don't have to watch it all the time. So I could focus on something that's more difficult. So why don't I do it? And I'm just not. I'm not sure. Why don't I? I have to focus, and that is part of it. You have to focus on these more complicated things, but I haven't. And then and even last night, I continue to not do it. You know.
Even after
Right.
thinking about it.
Yeah. So why don't I?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think you're right. Path of least resistance. Like right now, it's almost Christmas. I'm I can't be pulling more stuff out. I'm trying to get things put away so I can get the Christmas decorations out.
Right.
The
Yeah.
kids everybody home, and it'll be a little busier. So I'm like, okay, you know what? The mental space isn't there either because it does take up, if you're working on something that you really want to look really good, I have to concentrate on them. I have to think a little bit more about my tension and my stitch path on my casket. I can't just pick it up and put it down. It's much more difficult. So, and I know I don't have that headspace right now. And so instead of beating myself up, I said, okay, January, I'm going to take it back out. Now, maybe I'll bring it out the few weeks between Thanksgiving and Christmas if I have some time, but I'm not gonna beat myself up about it. But it's got to get done, and it's got to get on a schedule
Yeah.
because there's no way I'm going to let it linger another year at this state. It has to get
Well, but
moving.
and Cindy and I talked about this a couple weeks ago. This topic and your ability, Beth, to sit down and put in a few stitches. And both of us, I need a block of time
I do too.
to sit down. But then, okay, so that's understandable. But then we couple that with our discussion with Krista West, where she makes a block of time. So why don't we make a block of time? I mean, she makes an entire week. Why don't we make 2 hours?
Right.
And
Right.
yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
I don't either. For me, sometimes it's just procrastination.
Mm-hmm.
It's, yeah, I want to work on it. I want to start it or whatever it is. But, oh, and it goes back to it's just easier to sit down with something else that's how come I don't have any more done on Phoenix Band Sampler
Yeah. Yeah.
than a few of the motifs in the first row because it's just easier to do the cross stitch. Uh, that I have, I'm struggling to see it, so I have to mess around with trying to, get the setup correct so that I can see it properly, so that I don't have to keep ripping the stitches out.
Right.
And so it's just a big hassle to get set up. But once I get it set up and get it right, I'm gonna sit there for probably a couple hours.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that raises another thing with these projects. Phoenix Band Sampler is a classic. When you do work on it, at what point, and there is a point where you lock in and then you can't put it down. And you just dig in and go, and then you're finding time to work on it.
Hmm.
I found that many times where
Hmm.
and you just won't stop. And then the cross stitch gets laid aside because no, I'm getting these sections done. This band is halfway done. I'm finishing this thing, this week, kind of thing. But you there's a point. It's like that. It's kind of like that same point where you get with any project toward the end, and you can see the last stitch, and you just dig in and go. You just every minute,
Yeah,
something clicks in your head, and
right.
but getting to that point it's like, oh, um,
Well, and then for me, projects for our local chapter keep coming up.
mm-hmm,
I don't do all of the projects that we have uh, in the schedule, but for this next year or so, I will do most of them, which means that I've got to put that into the schedule. And in some cases, I need to do it a little bit ahead so that we don't know for sure who's going to lead all of these projects. We haven't worked that part out yet, but Robin and I will probably be doing the lion's share of them.
yeah,
So, then that's something that, gets in the way of working on my other stuff.
Right, right.
But
And that
I
is a
also,
problem.
oh, go ahead.
And that is a problem, I think. I think when you want to keep a guild alive that needs people to do the pre-work so you can show it to the members,
Hmm.
um, that takes time. There's no way around it. It takes time.
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and you guys have guild things, and well, and we all have things that we've started for Fiber Talk because we've talked ourselves into them. I mean, they're sitting all over this room, half or not even half started, just set up and barely started, because we've talked ourselves into them. And
Hmm.
then then we revert back to one of the other projects that we're working on, and then there it sits. Well, then what are we doing here? And so okay, so then the question is, why don't we rank? Why don't we set our projects up and rank them and say this is my priority? And what makes it a priority? What makes a project a priority?
Well, that's your decision.
Yeah.
So the for Blue Ribbon, we meet online in December, January, and February instead of, going out and driving at night in the crappy weather.
Right.
So for this year, our program is going to be a whip challenge. And so what I said to everybody is, doesn't matter what you do, it's your decision. If you want to start a brand new project, that's fine. If you want to dig something out from, the depths of your basement, whatever it is,
Yeah.
you decide what the project is, what is your goal, And I said it should be a stretch, but it should be achievable
Mm-hmm.
in that 3 months. So we did a little kickoff at the November meeting. Everybody brought their whips, and everybody has different goals for how much they want to get done. Some people wanted to finish the projects that they'd identified. Some of them were really, really old projects. Some of them were class projects. And it was like, I don't know why I haven't worked on this, but this is what's going to get me started on it again.
Mm-hmm.
And so in my case, I need to make some significant progress on the largest pumpkin project. And I have about 22 hours in on it, and I showed it the last time. Was it last for the podcast last week?
Yeah. Yeah.
The Autumn Night Alphabet, where I just had I think it was at the Zoom meeting, where I just have like one little square done, and that piece is 27 inches long.
Yeah.
So I I don't I don't know if I have any hope of getting it done in time to enter things in the fair this year. I still have two other things that
Yeah.
are not done. But I need to, so it's on, I've got it on not a Millennium frame. What was the other one that
The
went
the,
out of
O-
business?
the Omonic.
Asian Designs.
Omonic. Yeah.
Oh, I'm on it.
And,
Okay.
and I don't have a bag that's big enough to put it in on the frame. So I took it off the frame. So now I have to set it up again,
Yeah.
and then it's so wide, and also my floor stand, the jaws aren't big enough to clamp around that Omonic frame because
Oh.
it's so chunky. So that's why I bought the trestles.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna have to work at probably using a dining room chair, sitting at the trestles. So that's a whole other level of setting up
Yeah.
that I have to go through. And at least I can see it. It's a light colored fabric,
Yeah.
Yeah.
so I'll be able to stitch it with just my craft optics, and it's not complicated. It's not hard.
Right.
Once I get stuck in, I think I can get a lot of progress. So my goal on that is to stitch 10 hours a week
Okay.
for 13 weeks.
That'll move
So
it forward. Yeah.
start
Mm-hmm.
and the actual start date for this whole project is December 1st. So we're going to go December 1st to February 28th.
Okay.
So that's the 13 weeks.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, it's just setting yourself a challenge,
Yeah.
picking something like we've really done that with the Phoenix band sampler. I've just had too many other things going on to go back to, to spend any time on it.
Yeah.
Uh, but actually, I need to probably use the trestles for that too. So if I'm not dead after 2 hours, I may just switch over to actually, I probably should do the Phoenix band sampler first
Mm-hmm.
and then switch, maybe an hour or so on that, and then switch over to the
Yeah.
cross stitch.
Yeah. Well, and
But,
the trestles give you that option. Just pull one off and put the next one on and go. Yeah. Yeah.
right, right. So I'll just have to work it out, see what works best for me
Yeah.
to to move myself forward.
Yeah. But see, in describing all of that, you made another thing come to mind, and here I am pointing with my white pencil again. But do we, for such a simple needle, thread, and cloth hobby art form, do we make it too complicated with our trestles and our stands and our lights and our magnifiers? Is that a factor in this is that by the time we get everything set up and organized, it's like, ugh. When so many people will just pick up a hoop and start stitching.
I
You know what I
can't
mean?
do that anymore.
Yeah.
Right. Right. I think that's the issue. I think you've got to do what makes you comfortable. You have to be able to see it. You want to keep your hand and eye and back strain down. You want to be able
Hmm.
to stitch. You want to enjoy your time there. If it's not enjoyable, if you hurt, um, then you're not going to do it. You're not going to take the time. It's no
Right.
longer enjoyable project. But
Hmm.
I think for me, I always have one that's just simple Simon, pick up, put down. If I'm interrupted, it doesn't matter. As long as my needle isn't going to fall off wherever it is, it's fine.
Yeah.
That's my project. And then I always try to keep a very complicated project around, whatever that is. Whether it be the Phoenix band sampler, my uh, Harmony of Nature casket. Um, that's another one that is complicated that requires a lot of brain space. Those are the two that I can think of right off the top of my head that I'm currently rotating through. Um,
Hmm.
Everything else is generally, it's simple, or if it's more difficult, it's because it's a bigger project. So it takes up physical space and you've got a lot to do on it. Um,
Hmm.
and that makes a difference. If I'm too tired to stitch on something complicated, I'm moving a project forward by working on a simple one, whatever that simple one is. And I think that makes a difference. And I got that from Gayanne Rogers years ago. She always has a small, medium, and large, and how you define that is up to not necessarily even the size, but how complicated it is.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Because one of her needle click cases is you think they're small and they're fairly,
Yeah.
the stitches are difficult.
Yeah.
They're
There's
huge
just a
amounts
lot
to
of
stitch.
them.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So many of hers are
Yeah.
like that. Yeah. Just a small little
Hmm.
project. Time you get all those layers stitched in, it was a massive project. Yeah. Yeah.
Right,
Hmm.
right,
Yeah.
right. And that's again where I learned do one thread length, um, do 5 minutes if you only have time for 5 minutes.
Hmm.
Do 15. And sometimes that's all, when it's busy, I'll just say, I just need to calm down before I go to bed. Let me put one thread, a couple of stitches in so I can calm down, go to bed and
Yeah.
sleep. If not, my
Yeah.
mind's going, and then I'm like, oh yeah, this is not gonna work.
Yeah.
Let's get something done.
Yeah. And see, and that tired thing is a factor because a lot of times when I get a chance to stitch at night, to sit down with a complicated project, I don't,
Hmm.
I just don't have it. And I know if I sit there and stitch, I'm going to come back tomorrow and have to tear half of it out because I just,
Okay, here's another issue.
okay.
Does it have to be perfect?
And that you brought that word up. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Problem
I mean,
right here with that. Big problem.
yeah,
Yeah.
and it's easy, and it's not just like that's I think the problem I'm having with the Harmony of Nature casket. Mine is I've seen Mary Dorgers. I've seen Mary Dorgers in person.
Mm.
Her tension, I mean, she is a wonderful stitcher. I mean, just her stitching is perfect. She complained about something, and I was like, "Oh, Mary, it'd be so mine looked like that."
Yeah.
In fact, she hasn't finished the stag's antlers because they're not coming out the way she thinks, and she's still fiddling with them. So,
Well, so
well,
there you
maybe she
go.
did finish them.
Even somebody with all that experience has the same kinds of issues.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So,
But
so is some of that because she has just done that kind of stitching a whole lot more than you have?
yes, and I think also, um, like she does beautiful white work. If you've seen any of her white work, it's gorgeous, and that is, I mean, all needlework is tension related, but I could never get my buttonhole stitch to lay smooth like she could. I just couldn't. It always looks like a little wobble. And I even sat and I said, I need to watch your hands, Mary. I need to watch your hands. and it's the way she was pulling the needle, and I tried, and I'm sure it's experience, but it's she's got great tension, and that makes a difference. But I also realized on my own projects, okay, for A, hers are not going to live at my house. Hers are living at her house. Mine are living at my house. And when people see mine, they're not going to see hers. So it's okay.
They're not going to
And
be
done is
side by
better than
side.
right.
Right.
And
Right.
done is better than perfect,
Yeah.
So
especially on some
Robin,
of these bigger projects.
yeah, Robin taught a class on Swedish weaving at the library last week or the week before. And I was watching the people, it was on a towel, a little fingertip towel. And I was watching people doing their stitching, and they were doing okay. They were getting the stitches in the right place, but it didn't look like Robin's. And
Mm.
so at one point I said, do not expect yours to look like Robin's. Robin's been doing this for years,
Yeah.
and she has the feeling for the tension. And I said, you'll get there. And and I also suggested that if they wanted to give the towel as a gift and they weren't happy with the way their stitches looked, to just get a piece of Ada cloth and practice
Mm-hmm.
until they were comfortable with the stitch. So I think one of the things that we really need to remember for ourselves and for other people in our chapters or that we run across with needlework is that everybody's at a different skill level, and all of this takes practice.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Ours didn't look
So,
good the first time we tried a technique either.
Right. Right.
right.
Yeah. And the internet, social media, is a big factor in that.
Mhm.
Big factor because if we didn't have the internet with people sharing their stitching, we would merrily go along doing our stitching the way we do it and getting better. And because we intuitively know if the tension's right or the stitch looks good or not. But we would just merrily go through the days stitching and enjoying it and getting better if we didn't have somebody's perfection to compare to online. I think that hurts because
Mhm.
it's so easy to compare and say, oh, I better go back and rework this whole thing because I'm just it just doesn't look good when it's probably
Or
fine.
I can't do it, so I can't do it that way, so I'm just
Yeah,
not going to do it.
yeah,
I mean, how many people stop doing something because they can't do it perfect the first time?
yeah,
I know a lot of people, and it doesn't matter what it is,
Mhm.
whether it's stitching or some other kind of crafting or whatever. If I can't do it perfect, I'm not going to do it.
yeah, yep.
Right.
And then therefore nothing,
Right.
absolutely nothing,
Right.
and something that you likely would enjoy and would give you years of enjoyment, but you
Hmm.
talked yourself out of it right away because you couldn't match up with Robin,
Hmm.
you know,
Right. Right.
which which
Right.
is a tall order even on a good day. That's a tall order,
Right.
you know.
Right. Right.
Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, that's
Or
it's
Mary Dorter,
there's
you
Yeah.
know,
there's another one. Yeah,
whoever
And
whoever it
there's
is.
yeah,
right. Right. And yeah, and it does take time to learn your whatever you're going to get better at. You just need to practice. We all know that it's a matter of practicing the stitch, practicing it, and learning and
right.
learning. But
And every designer where that question has come up that we've interviewed, all three of us have freely admitted that behind what they've created is a ton of stuff that got thrown away, got torn out,
mhm,
redone, thrown away, trashed, start over. Every single one of them will tell you that there is a whole ton of that to get to this
Mhm.
piece that looks amazing.
right.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
Well, and some of that is, I mean, a lot of that is totally lost in these reels and TikTok videos and all this kind of stuff.
yeah,
You only see a fraction. I mean, a couple of minutes maybe or 3 minutes on or TikTok videos, 3 minutes, I think, of, the stitching that somebody is doing. And they don't show where they put the needle in the wrong place and they had to rip it out.
right.
Only they didn't notice it until they were half. the length away from whatever it was,
Yep.
or they picked up the wrong color and had to take out, this happened to me, a whole lot of stitching because I didn't read the color chart, the symbols correctly.
Uh-huh.
And my pumpkins were a really funny shade of peach and brown.
Oops.
And I had stitched quite a bit and I put it down for a while. When I came back to it, I thought, what? And went back and I don't know how I mixed up the symbols, but it all had to come out.
Yeah. Yeah.
It happens. It happens.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's part of this whole, I can't make it look the way the teacher made it look. Well, the teacher worked really hard, and we don't know how much time the teacher or
Right.
whoever it is, whoever's work we're looking at, how much time they actually put into it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and all of them. We did that Patreon thing on Mary Corbett's star, and of course, the picture of her stitching is pristine. I mean, I dare you to find one strand that's not properly tensioned and out of order. It's not there. But
Mine isn't
go
going to look like that.
no, but go go to her site and look at decades of stitching that she's
Hmm.
done, and okay, yeah, she should be at that level, without a
Hmm.
question. She's moved a lot of thread in her life, and
Hmm.
I'm betting 80% of it has never seen the light of day. Uh,
Yeah.
that star alone, I'll bet you there's several trials just putting that together. That little 3.5 inch circle, several trials where there's probably even a couple pieces of ground cloth that went in the trash because they just were wore out from trying. But what
Hmm.
we see is perfection, and then
Right.
we can't achieve that. And yeah, what is it? The Gay Ann Rogers? Well, it's an old saying: "Perfect is the enemy of good." Yeah,
Right.
Right.
yeah.
Right.
So
Right.
yeah.
But that's a hard thing to let go of.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Really hard.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I'm working on, I don't have it in here, a Tony Gertis piece called Ho Ho Ho, and it's just HOHOHO.
Yeah.
And she drew the H's on the canvas with a really fine red pen,
Mm-hmm.
which isn't entirely covered by the
Oh.
stitches. Now, I was working on a library with some friends last night, and they, well, actually, it was uh, Jamie and Sarah. They were at the um, Stitch In down in St. Louis. Sarah's here visiting Jamie, and they were looking at it, and Sarah says, "You can't see that from here. Who's
Yeah.
going to know about it?" And I said, "Well, the judge is going to be able to
Yeah.
see it,
Yeah.
but from a distance, I can't see it." So, and so some of it is because she drew the line down the center of down the channel between
Oh.
two threads.
Mm-hmm.
So it's covered on this side, but there's little bits of red peeking out on this side.
Yeah.
And then, of course, there's compensation. So, yeah, I'm kind of being nitpicky, but in the whole big scheme of things, it doesn't really matter because it's not going to be noticeable when it's framed and on the wall.
Yeah.
Right. Right. But see, there's a difference. Okay, so if I'm entering something to be put in a juried show, um, whether it be the state fair, going to ANG, going to EGA, I am pickier about it. Than if I'm just doing it, this is going to be hanging on my wall, or I'm not, it's going down to the basement when I'm done. I'm just doing it because I like it. Um, those things I'm less picky about. But if I know I was stitching on a piece and I had originally planned on sending it in to be judged. I was very picky about every single stitch.
Mhm.
Um, but then I finished it myself and it didn't look so good, so I never sent it in. Um,
Oh no.
but
But
I mean,
but
it's
you know
it's
what?
fine.
But really that shouldn't have stopped you from sending it
I
in.
wish I
Yes,
I should have sent it in.
you want your submissions to be as good as you can get them to be,
Mhm.
but I think it's I think it's important to exhibit our work whenever we can, so that people can see what we're doing and maybe critique it a little bit, say, oh, well, I would have done something different, but that's their choice. You did what you did, and I I think we learn from that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, yeah, you bring up something there, Cindy, that when I was doing photography and learning photography, there was an online forum that was set up to share your photos, and much like we do, but the whole effort, and there was a large number of us who were involved. The whole effort there was you put it up, and then you got honest critique. And sometimes guys, it was mainly men, were tough on each other. You know, yeah, yeah, nice shot, but you need to, your composition it needs to get adjusted here. Your processing uh, needs to, and here's how to do it. Give this another try and repost. We want to
Hmm.
see the difference. But it was a group of people that didn't get their feathers ruffled. If somebody came in and said that picture you were so proud of was not very good, and here's why, and it was always, you can't just say that's not any good. You have to list why. You have to,
Right.
you can't just take a shot. You got to have reasons, and then go back and try again. Let's see it. And people would,
And so and ways to make it better.
right, exactly.
Because if somebody doesn't know how to make it better, it doesn't do any good to say fix that.
No, no. But that's what this group did. And and you would get that kind of help, and we all got to be really much better photographers in fairly short order. But
Mhm.
when it comes to needlework, we can't do that. At least I don't feel like we can do that because people get their feathers ruffled. Like if you were to say you need to, your tension's a little off here and there, and and here's how you might do that. People's feathers get ruffled too much, and so you end up with posts throughout where, oh, that's beautiful, that's nice, whatever, and you don't get help. And I would like to see that, because I mean there was a large number of us who you could watch through the years the photography elevate constantly from everyone, and a new person would come in and people would help them, and
Mhm.
pretty soon they started to do really good stuff. And and somebody put something up, and we try to, all right, let's see if we can all do better than that one. Same kind of shot, let's see if we can do better.
Yeah.
And so it gets a little competitive, but you got better at it. You became a better photographer. You read light better, you read composition better, all
Mhm.
those things. And we don't have that in needlework. And I think that's, if you could get a community that had, a little bit of a thickness in their skin, that we could have some critiquing, some constructive. Because if you just took a shot at somebody just to take a shot, you heard about it. People wouldn't put up with it. But if you were constructive, and here's how to fix it, here's how to do it different, or here's how I do it, give it a try, see if it doesn't help you. If it doesn't, it doesn't, whatever. But
We
we
could
don't really have
we could
that.
we could probably do it on Patreon.
Yes, we could. Yeah.
Yeah, and let me back you up a little too. There, generally, art quilt people have those groups. There's several of them,
Oh,
big ones, where they give each other a challenge, they submit their work to each other, they get, that's the thing, helpful critiques. There's a local group that Cheryl Lennox is part of. I was a part of for a while, but I just couldn't attend meetings, so I kind of dropped out. I'm thinking about rejoining them. Um, but it's basically, the idea was to help the other members push their art forward. and to get helpful critiques, to have someone look at your work and say, you know, because several of them have gone to big shows. They've had their work
Oh. Mm-hmm.
juried at big shows. Um, they've taught nationwide, so they have that background. Um, so offering the challenge, work on a challenge together, but also getting a helpful critique. Your composition is this is what you need to adjust. This is maybe why you're not quite happy with this piece. Maybe if you try this here, it'll move the piece forward, um, or we don't know what you're complaining about.
Yeah.
It looks great.
Yeah.
Maybe you need to sit with this for a little bit before you mess with it, because there is that too. Again, supposedly supposed to be helpful. In fact, one of them, if I could find it, I'll look for it and we can use it. I'm sure, but it's things that make a helpful critique.
Hmm.
Well, that'd be
Because
good.
Yeah.
it is not saying I don't like that. That's not
It's not.
helpful. I
No,
don't
that's
like that
useless.
color.
No.
That's not helpful.
No.
Mhm.
There's better ways to say that,
Right.
even if you don't like the color or you don't like something.
Right.
But to move
Mhm.
move the art forward, I think, and I have to admit, I've been looking at EGA's Fiber Forum.
Mhm.
I listened to a lecture, I don't know, about a month ago. They sent out an invite, and what? Are you laughing at me?
Yes, I
I think
am
she's laughing at
because
me.
okay, so here's another thing that keeps us from doing all these other stuff. It's the new thing. What kind of a commitment is that going to be for you? What are you going to have to do for it? And what are you going to have to
Actually,
put down?
Fiber
Or do you have
Forum
things that
is yeah, so you have to do original artwork for Fiber Forum. So for me, I know I will not submit anything in 2026. It would be 2027. Um, it has to be totally original. You can't submit something that's somebody else's.
I
That's what
know.
intrigues me. So even if I means that, and that's been always been my end goal, is to do my own work. So let's say I do take those baby steps and move that forward, then maybe all that other stuff will be at a stash sale at my local EGA. And
Yeah.
with sans threads, because I'll need them for my projects.
Right.
Mhm.
But yeah, that is actually always been the end game, right? It's always been what I wanted to do. I don't like my pieces looking like everybody else's. I want
Right.
mine to look like what I want them to look like,
Yeah.
me.
And there's that
So,
contrast between all the people we talk to, particularly in the UK, where they rarely think of stitching someone else's design. It's always create my own stuff. Uh, you
yeah.
know, so many of them just I create my own. Thank you very much. And yet here we
But
buy.
no, but then they teach their own stuff to the
Right. Yeah.
people. I
Yeah.
mean, there's we just talked to the people that are doing it because they're the ones that come to us.
Yeah.
There's as many people doing
Is there? Okay.
patterns. Of course there
Yeah.
is.
Okay.
I mean, that's what makes this whole needlework or
Yeah.
crafting, knitting, I don't care what it is. The vast majority of people are going to work from a pattern. They're not going to make
Mhm.
their own thing up.
Yeah. I suppose you're right. Yeah. I'm just looking at it wrong. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Well, and
Yeah.
it's not wrong. I think it's just you're narrow. You're just
Yeah.
a little
Well.
too narrow.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, and I mean, I I have designed some needlepoint pieces, and I might design some in the future, but that's not the main thing I want to do.
Yeah.
I'm perfectly happy stitching patterns that other people have done for the most part. Now, I'll change the colors,
Right. Right. Yeah.
but I usually don't change the stitches or
Yeah.
anything. I'm, I'm okay with that
Yeah. Yeah. I
because
should.
I'm not an artist.
Yeah. No, I
I
should
think Beth
retract
is an
that.
artist.
I should retract that because yeah, you're right. We're talking to designers. They create original stuff. We're not talking to. You're right. You're right. I was looking at that wrong. Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay. Never mind. Retract. I'm not taking it out. I'm just leaving it in. But
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's a good discussion.
yeah. Yeah.
But
Because
because we search out the designers, the
right.
artists that to talk to because their work is beautiful.
Right. Yeah.
But how many of them are teaching classes or selling their patterns
Yeah.
or putting kits together for people? I
Yeah.
mean, that's really the artwork is all well and good, but if it's going to support them in some fashion,
Right.
they have
Yeah.
to be able to sell it or sell prints, or whatever it is.
Yep.
So,
Yeah. And I will admit I have now probably a half dozen photos in my phone of things that I've taken pictures of that I've thought I should take a stab at designing. I did one at a
mhm,
restaurant just the other night. That would make a good thing. And I had one when I was substitute teaching the religion class. One of the pastors came in and did that class, and he was talking about all the symbolism that's on the massive cross. It's a beautiful massive cross that's above the altar that has all kinds of symbolism in it. And he has a picture or a drawing of it with all the things labeled. And I asked him to send that to me because immediately I could see that could be a design because I could see gold work, I could see long short stitch, all kinds of things all the way through that thing, and I got to have that, and now I got to trace it on some linen, and I got to take a shot at it and see if I can design how that would look stitched.
mhm.
And so yeah, it's I will admit, just in the last year or so, I've got a little collection of photos that this could be, and now I just got to sit
Hmm.
down and do it. But yeah, um, yeah,
Right. Right.
So it's priorities.
right, yeah,
What are you going to prioritize?
yep, yeah,
Right. Right.
yeah, that trick. Okay, we're gonna run out of
Good.
time, and I wanted to get in this other one what that Beth put on the list about playtime.
Oh, yeah.
Playtime. Does everything have to get finished? Does it have to be perfect? Does it have to have a reason? But that playtime to me is the phrase. Do we take time for that?
No,
And we don't. Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah.
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 I mean,
It's to me.
so
Yeah. Go ahead.
I, unless you consider, and I guess I would consider choosing threads. I'm changing the colors. I'm playing with the threads. So this piece, I I picked my colors out and then I stitched one quadrant and I changed the colors a few times to
Mm-hmm.
get the look that I wanted. And then I went ahead and stitched the other ones,
Mm-hmm.
the other quadrants. So, yeah, playing with the threads, I do that a lot.
Yeah.
And that's playtime. Most people don't want to take the time to do that, but I think that's important because it gives you color theory. It gives you it gives you
Right.
real time color theory because you might think something might work, but then when you get them down there on the canvas, it's like, something's not quite the way I wanted it to be.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the project that I was using the pattern uh, palette scout cards for
Yeah.
to buy threads.
Yeah.
So it's kind of all tied together. But I don't play with stitching. I've
Mm-hmm.
stitched whatever it is I'm going to stitch, and yes, it needs to be finished.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not that I don't have a whole lot of things that aren't finished because I've taken too many classes
Right.
and started too many projects, but I do like to finish things. And I like to frame them or,
Mm-hmm.
fully finish them. I don't put stuff in a drawer when it's done and
Yeah. No, and you do that right
never.
away. Like when you finish a
I
piece,
usually do.
you are right on it. You don't let it sit around. Yeah. No,
I have
I
a
I give you
couple of
credit.
things that
Yeah.
aren't that are just kind of sitting
No,
around,
but
but
you're ninety
most of the
percent.
time,
You're ninety
yeah.
percent. It's finished and it's framed or finished in some way within weeks.
Mhm.
Yeah. No, it's short order. Yeah. No, I admire that. Yeah, because
Mhm.
I don't. Yeah,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't.
Live in the basement.
Yeah, but
But yeah.
but in like in my defense, I don't care. You know,
Right.
it's the process of stitching it that matters to me, and once it's done, I don't care. It's like how many times I've said, Margaret, oh, I want to do that, take it. I don't care. Do whatever with it. I don't. It just doesn't matter to me. Yeah, I
Right.
enjoyed that. I enjoyed it up to that point, and then I'm done. I'm out. Yeah,
Right.
next thing.
I'm
Yeah,
done.
yeah,
Yeah. I don't need to see it framed.
no.
No. Or
And see,
finished in any way.
for me, the playtime, and this, what was we were having a discussion the other day. Color kills me. Oh, it's when you and I were doing the palette thing, the scout palette thing, and there were. It really hit me in that discussion. 65 years of avoiding naming a color because I got laughed at so much when I was young because I got
Mhm.
colors wrong because I had red and green. And
Mhm.
when we were having that discussion, I go out of my way to not name the color because my entire life I've been wrong more than I've been right and been corrected immediately and never had a chance to, even learn. And that holds me back. It holds me back in a huge way because I can see if colors go together. But to name them a lot of times is very difficult for me. Well, I just don't do it because I've just been wrong so many times. And some of
Mhm.
those colors, there's 4 different names for it, depending on what shade it is, and I just can't keep up. I'm lucky to get red, green, yellow, blue. I'm happy with that. And but when it comes to playtime, that is a big barrier for me. And I've thought more than once that I ought to force myself to sit down with a color wheel and take a online color course and just force myself to do it. I just don't because I'm sure it's the psychological pain of doing that just makes me run. Yeah.
So what you might do is do some reading about color. There's a
Mm-hmm.
lot of books about color out there. Victoria Findlay has written several, and they're excellent.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like what's the history of the color? How was it made? How was it used in artworks and in
No.
textiles? And so I mean it's learning about color from a different direction.
No.
But some of the I I was listening to I think Science Friday. They were talking to somebody about vision, and the guy said something to the effect of that color is kind of a construct. I would guess, based on this conversation that he was having, that if I said something was blue, all three of us would have a different idea in our mind of what that blue
Yeah.
is. And
Yeah.
if we wanted to, say name the color, Beth might call it a blue violet, you might call it a true blue, and I might call it a I don't know, a sky blue or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because we see color different. I mean, we don't realize this, but everybody sees just a little bit differently.
Mm-hmm.
And, we have these names, these conventions for what we call colors. and it is a convention that is a societal kind of thing. There are societies that don't have color names for some of the colors that we do.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just not, you know,
Right.
it's not part of their lexicon
Yeah.
for whatever reason.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that
Right.
might be a
But
way
you
to
know,
go.
the other
But
thing
then
to
the other
do
thing
too.
is what you said about force yourself, then it's not play anymore.
Right. Right. Yeah.
And you want it to be fun.
Yeah. Well, that's the struggle. Yeah. What were you gonna say, Beth?
Yeah.
Well, I was just thinking, I think Kathy Andrews, she can't stitch right now. She's watercoloring,
Yeah.
and I noticed she was playing with color and watercolors, which is much faster than playing with threads and needles and
Yeah.
stitching
Yeah.
something. Um,
Mhm.
but so she was doing like a color theory class that way. And that was interesting to me because she said, look how, and I think she showed three pictures. She
Yeah. She
showed
did.
one, and then you could see the, and I kept thinking that would be a great color play. The other thing is, Cheryl and I were talking about this is, um, making the color brown. Um, when you mix paints, you really don't, that's the color you don't want to get. But if you mix red and green, you're going to get brown, right? So she said, what we really need to do, Beth, is take a blob of red and blob of green and start mixing them in proportion and seeing if there's a brown we like out of that. And
Mm.
I was like, oh, she's right.
Mm-hmm.
She's right. How to get, because some browns are really pretty
Yeah.
and
Oh
you
yeah.
and you need a brown but again,
Mhm.
that would be playtime. That would be total not useful. You're not getting anything done on a project necessarily, but you're playing with color, so you're moving your color theory forward.
Yeah.
I know when I used to do more of it with mixed media, I felt more comfortable with color because if it was paint, A, it dried fast. B, if I really didn't like it, I could take white over it and it was gone.
Yeah. Yeah.
Could start all over it. Or even better, I just turned the page into another page in my art journal. It
Mm-hmm.
didn't matter.
So we did the exercise at the stitch at the Fiber Talk retreat with the quilt squares and the colored pencils.
Mm-hmm.
That's really easy to do. And I mean, you don't need a whole box of colored pencils. All you need is, some basic ones, red and yellow and green and blue and, uh, or crayons even,
Right. Yeah.
Oh, still the
with sit,
grandsons.
yeah, sit down with and actually you could probably get the grandsons to maybe participate with you.
Right. Connor's red green colorblind too. So yeah, the two of us have a great time.
Hmm.
Connor's, does this look green? Yeah. Far as I can tell, yeah. Go with it. It's red. Oh well.
That's all
Yeah.
right.
But, it would be, get your color wheel out
Mm-hmm.
and, start with analogous colors and, work your way around the different kinds of combinations.
Yeah. Yeah. I really should, but that, and when it gets back to playtime, that's a brick wall for me right out of the gate. So, I just move on. Um,
Mhm.
yeah. I
Right.
don't know.
Right. But play doesn't have to take a lot of time. That's the whole idea behind play. It's taking time to ignite that excitement. So even if it's like Cindy going through her threads and pulling colors, that's probably playtime. Going through your stash and digging through and looking at the colors or looking at the fabrics, looking at those things, that's also play.
Yeah.
If it's play for you, you know, that's it's a good way to play.
Yeah.
So would it help you, Gary, to pull the palette scout card out for red and green and use those to compare threads to?
Probably would. I should. I probably own the best tool to help me in that box of cards. If I just get them out on a table and start to work with them, I bet I have in my hands the best tool I've ever had in those cards because I can move them around on the table as opposed to they're in
Mm-hmm.
a wheel and they can't be moved. I bet,
Right,
you
right.
know, I probably have that and have just need to take advantage of it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And just, yeah, you're right. If I just pull out the reds and greens and separate them and start to understand what those colors look like to me, it
Mm-hmm.
would give me a base to work from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Because
Beth,
I've
what kind
never,
of play?
yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
Well, I mean, I've never done that kind of thing because I've just been wrong all the time. And so I just avoid it. I go to blue, basically, because I know that's safe. And you can throw in a yellow, but don't throw in orange because invariably that orange is a red to somebody. And so then I'm wrong again. But yellow, I'm okay. And blue, so I'm safe. And so I end up there. I'll admit it. Blue is my favorite color because it's safe ground. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I can't miss. But
Yeah.
then I'll get tripped up on purple. You know,
Mm-hmm.
so it's a very narrow range. And yeah, and then someone will come along and call it something else. And well, wait, what happened to just blue? What was wrong with that? Well, no, it's really cerulean blah 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 or cobalt blah blah blah. Oh, this is blue. Can't we just be blue? Yeah.
Can't we see blue?
Well, eight jumbo crayons in kindergarten. Can't. What's wrong with that? You know what I mean? I memorized those,
Mhm.
and I had to memorize them. I literally had to memorize them. Other than yellow and blue, purple tripped me up all the time. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, yeah.
So what kinds of things do you want to do when you're playing, Beth?
Oh, I've actually decided, of course, I saw Cheryl today. We were playing, and she said, "Oh, we need to do a gratitude journal starting in December." And I was like, "Oh, all in." So I think I'm gonna pull out a mixed media a book and gesso it and start doing a gratitude journal in it, but playing with color, pulling out something simple, watercolor crayons, and playing in there to just to play. It does because no one's gonna see it. It's just mine, you
Yeah.
know, and just playing with color. Because again, playing with pencils and that sort of stuff, it's faster than playing with thread for
Yeah.
me.
Mm-hmm.
And
Right.
so once I get the base down, um, it's helpful for me. And I tend to move to analogous colors because I can get those right. It's easy for me to see. I start playing, you get like Robin, where she plays with colors together, or Orna Willis. Let's talk to somebody who really
Yeah.
plays with color.
There's one. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Whoa, she has got we were discussing her at Guild the other day. She has got such an amazing color sense. How does she do it? I think part of it is, she plays. She plays
Mm.
with her threads, she plays with her colors. And it's
Mm-hmm.
like, I want to get back into that because it gives me more confidence in my needlework. So I'm not so afraid. I'm like, you know what? I know these work. I've seen it on paper.
Yeah.
I just need to
Mm-hmm.
put it into thread.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Orna. Those are colors that should not work. Time after time, and yeah,
Turquoise and
Yeah.
orange,
I know, and they work.
and they work.
She pulls it
Add some
together.
add some dusty purple to it too. And I'm like, how did you do that?
And
How did you
Yeah.
lime
make that
green.
work?
Yeah.
And lime green. Of course, it's got to have a little lime green. Add a little poison to it.
Yeah. She's amazing. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
All right. We need to stop. Okay. To be continued. I think at some point. Yes.
Yeah.
And folks who are listening, leave us comments, leave us thoughts.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'd like to hear from you. So, all right, we're going to stop there. We're going to do, if you want to be in on the Clara Wash Hour drawing, Gary at WeTalkFiber.com. Subject line is Gold Cross. Name and address in the body of the email. Midnight Eastern Time, November 29th. So this Saturday for the drawing. And then I'll do the drawing before I go to bed. No, I'll probably do it in the morning because they're time stamped. So, but anyway, get in on that and Let us know what you think about what we just talked about. Thanks for everybody for listening. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.